Uh, there we go. All right.
Yeah. Whoa.
There we go. There we go. Welcome to another episode of Storytime with BDD. I'm your host, BDD, aka Brooklyn Dad, and this is Storytime. Gling, gling. Yes, welcome everybody. Happy Tuesday. Oh, I see Wifey says, what a majestic beard, and majestic it is. So we got some breaking news today. Uh, First of all, the first breaking news is that this is Brooklyn Dad's second day in a row kind of being on time-ish. What? And I would have been even earlier had we not had that stupendous breaking news, which I will share with you as part of our stories of the day. Stories of the day. Well, it looks like a grand jury has been convened by Vance to hold the former guy accountable. Today is the 1 year anniversary of George Floyd. What progress has been made? We'll take a look. Should we defund or reform the police? That debate will occur. Marjorie Taylor Greene tries half-heartedly to walk back her anti-Semitic words. Is it too little, too late? And last but not least, I love this picture. Qevin McCarthy is today's "You Raggedy Bish." Once again, yes, once again, he is a raggedy bish, and nobody is debating that. In fact, even people in his own party have had enough with Qevin. That's Qevin with a Q. Wait a minute, did I see Matt from Albuquerque? Ho, what's up, my friend? I haven't seen you here in a minute. Welcome back, my friend. That's what's up. I see we got almost a full house here. That's beautiful. I got no randomness for today. Today I'm gonna skip past the randomness and try to do a more timely broadcast. And as such, we're going to jump right into our quick hits. Yeah, yeah, that shit is coming. That shit is happening right now. Punk ass bitch. Go ahead. Let's do this quick hits. So minutes before the Brooklyn Dad streamcast launched, I learned, courtesy of MSNBC, courtesy of the Washington Post, breaking news is that Manhattan District Attorney Vance has convened a grand jury to delve into the evidence of whether or not former guy Spanky McDumbass can be charged with crimes for fraud, for tax evasion, for all that good stuff. And of course, the knee-jerk reaction from everybody, we've been psyched out before, you know. All of us, we were like, Mueller time! And then nothing. Then it was impeachment number one, impeachment 1.0 about Ukraine. And we were like, yay, impeachment! And then nothing happened. And then it was impeachment 2.0. It's like, yeah, incitement of insurrection. And then nothing happened. But this This is different. See, Cy Vance is about to retire. Next year, I believe he is retiring, and I think he wants to leave his mark on the office, and as such, he has been closely involved in getting information from Trump Organization CEO Alan Weisselberg, and that is the guy who knows where all the bodies were buried. He knows where all the ledgers are kept. He knows every last detail about that organization. And in order to get his ass out of a sling, Alan Weisselberg, I'm sure, is going to sing if he hasn't already. So sad for you, Spanky. No, I'm not. Psych! And in other news, Trump is trying to claim absolute immunity from his own words on January 6th. You see, there's another legal jeopardy that he faces, and that is in the form of Eric Swalwell's civil suit about January 6th. And his lawyers are trying to argue that he has absolute immunity based on the First Amendment. But bad news for you, Spanky, is that the First Amendment does not protect you. Nobody trims BDD's beard, Nisha. Nobody, except my barber. Sorry, I'm just looking at the comments here. Nobody has absolute immunity from incitement of insurrection. That speech is not protected. Fun fact, not protected under the First Amendment. So go cry in your cornflakes, Spanky. Next up, Governor Greg Abbott seems determined to hand over the reins of his governorship to whoever's waiting in the wings, because that dude is pushing some crazy laws in Texas. First of all, I think he's overestimating how red Texas is. Texas isn't the sure thing, tried and true red state that it once was. In fact, I might venture to say that it is a lot more purple these days, if not a light shade of blue. And if that's the case, he's in trouble, because first he pushed a law for abortion that made it legal, or that made it illegal to have an abortion after 6 weeks. That's insane, because a lot of people don't even know if they're pregnant after 6 weeks. That's number one. Number two, his latest bid for insanity is that he wants to make it legal to carry a firearm without license. No license, no background check. Seriously. That is insane. So, even the cops in Texas are against this. It's insane. I don't know what his strategy is, but proceed, Governor. Here's somebody who has no strategy whatsoever except to own the libs. Well, good luck with that, because owning the libs has incited ire on both sides. Both Republicans and Democrats have been quick and furious in their rejection of Marjorie Taylor Greene's anti-Semitic words, and specifically I'm referring to her comparing mask mandates to Nazi Germany. That is no comparison. And as recently as today, Mr. Johnny Come Lately, Qevin McCarthy, has denounced her rhetoric. However, it's 5 days too late. It took you 5 days, bro. We're going to get into Qevin McCarthy and why he's such a wreck. But here's a sign of the apocalypse. When you find yourself agreeing with a conservative buckethead like Ben Shapiro. Here's Ben Shapiro. This is me, Brooklyn Dad, agreeing with Ben Shapiro. "This is demented nonsense," he tweeted. "It is nothing like the Holocaust, and any comparison thereto is both insulting and insane." This is me agreeing with Ben Shapiro. What is the world coming to? Even a broken clock is right at least once, usually twice a day. So that's me agreeing with this broken clock. Last but not least, President Joseph R. Biden is set to meet with Vladimir Putin, aka Vladimir Putin, the president of Russia, on June 16th in Switzerland. What is going to be discussed are things like nuclear warfare, climate change, and you better stop messing with our elections because I'm not having it. I'm not the former guy. I'm not that punk ass, and you are not going to be walking all over me. It's nice to finally have a president who can stand up to a murderous dictator and not blink. So I'm looking forward to that. And that's it for the quick hits of the day. Before we jump into our main and only subject of the day, I would like to do our roll call. Oh, wait a minute. No, I can't do the roll call yet. I got to do the timeline cleanse. Totally forgot. You guys are going to need this timeline cleanse because the subject matter, just you're going to save that timeline cleanse for the subject matter. So come on, let's go ahead and do this, a timeline, a cleanse. Timeline cleanse. Timeline cleanse. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, so today's timeline cleanse videos, I was looking at yesterday's. Yesterday's were actually really, really good. They were fun. They're good on a rewatch. But today's are dedicated to ingenuity and thirst and ingenuity and invention. First up, we got some busy bees who are thirsty. Tell me you've ever seen this before. Two bees getting the cap, a little bit of a twist, and they pop the cap on the soda. That's insane. Never seen that before in my life. Never! That's amazing. They must really be thirsty. They're like, all right, I got it. Just, all right, on three. That is amazing. I'm bringing this stuff to you. That was, I believe, by courtesy of our good friend, Rex Chapman. Next up, first we got the bees. Now we got the birds. So today, Brooklyn Dad is telling you all about the birds and the bees. This clever young man has rigged up some kind of contraption to get hummingbirds to come grab a sip. This is clever. Now, I've seen things like this before. It's usually not combined with an umbrella hat. And again, the umbrella hat in itself, as ridiculous as it is, it's another kind of form of ingenuity. Somebody was like, I don't want to get wet, but I don't feel like holding anything. So this guy took that idea and said, well, let me add a hummingbird feeder to it. I believe it's honey that they put in there. Honey water. Scribble My Dibbles says she's going to make it for her husband. That's cool. And this is a very cool thing. Now, for those of you who have husbands or wives who enjoy a good frosty one every once in a while, but they don't feel like getting up and they don't want to bother anybody, if they've got an Alexa if you have an Alexa in the house, you might just be able to get yourself one of these handy contraptions here.
To reload.
Reloading. Please stand by.
That's Alexa. Look at this.
Hey Alexa, ask Sip Sender to give me a short toss.
I was waiting for it. Look, it's a catapult. I was waiting for that can to go through the window. Look at that. Look at that.
To reload.
It's called Sip Sender.
Reloading.
I think he made it himself. That is ingenious. That, like,
Hey
I
Alexa,
don't need that, but
ask
that's
Sip
cool as
Sender
hell.
to give me a short toss.
Short toss. Kathy Murphy said, Alexa, I'm too lazy to do anything for myself. Deb B said, the AI singularity is upon us, LOL. Yes, indeed. Asmila J says, necessity brings invention, LOL. Awesome. Trump Reaper, he was saying a short toss. A short toss. But the way that catapult was going back, I swear it looked like it wanted to rocket out the window, but that's very clever. Trump Reaper's calling it a Rube Goldberg machine. Okay, let's go ahead and let's see if we can do a lightning round roll call. Show me where you're coming from. Show me where you are at. Let's do it. Let's do it. Roll call. Scribbles wants to see the B-roll from that. Okay, we got Olivia from Seattle. Wait a minute. I haven't seen you in a minute, Olivia. Welcome back. Synth fan from Florida. Kathy Murphy is stuck in CT. Cecile Kazemi from Grapevine, Texas, speaking out against that guy occupying the governor's office. Michelle from Berlin, CT is here. Stephanie L in Florida. Tina G in Albuquerque. Petty Deb from Arizona. Julianne Gauthier from the Central Coast of California. Janet from CT is here. Deborah Baldini, that's Wildflower from Woodstock. Code Blue from Maryland. Na 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 na. Chrissy from Connecticut. Tunnies from the Bronx. Valerie in Staten Island. Jamie is walking in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. Amanda in Arkansas. Sassy in Minnesota. Hey, that's another one. I haven't seen Sassy in Minnesota for a very long time. Watcher Soko from Orange County, California. Marty from Calgary. Asmila J from H-Town. Stella Baxter is late from Los Angeles, but she's here, so you get credit for that. Ness from Connecticut. Shell Teresa from Raleigh, North Kakalaki. We got to at least have one Kakalaki in there. Jenna from Richmond, Virginia. Anissa from Rhode Island. Gavin Rutherford from Bonnie, Scotland. Foxhill Dreams from Aiken, South Kakalaki. There's Kakalaki number 2. Jennifer Rayner in Wisconsin Rapids. Cindy from Lakewood, Washington. Kathleen Cross from Boothwyn, Pennsylvania. Misha in Long Beach, California. Monique and Mom from the DMV. Hi, Mom. RJ in Florida, as always. Matt from Albuquerque. Gina Potter in New Jersey. Bernadette in Phoenix, Arizona. Welcome back, Gina, by the way. Queen of the South, that's C from Kansas City. Ms. Nick from Stafford, Virginia. Karen Purdy from Newton Falls, Ohio. There she is. Lucy from Orange County, California. Lee from Leeds, UK is eating pasta. You guys love to make me hungry during the show. Punxsutawney Mo in Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania has the Orioles, but not Hummers. Anna Alvarez, still in Claremont, Florida. Sylvia Correa from Madeira Island, Portugal. Paula Freitas from Madeira Island, Portugal. You guys got it together. I love it. I don't know how you did it, but I love it. I love it so much. Sandra here in Paramount, California, puppy is napping. Lisa Hathaway tuning in from Cleveland, Ohio. Cha-Cha from Gig Harbor. The Trump Reaper is sweaty in sweaty human Long Beach, California. Deb B on the cusp of fire season in the West. Uh-oh, that's in north central Washington. Samantha B from Northeast PA, the birthplace of Joseph R. Biden. Pandora from Boston. Na-na-na-na, happy hippie from Arizona, but moving back to Nevada. Nevada is how they say it, not Nevada. Those of us on the coastal elites, we say Nevada, but they say Nevada. It's Nevada. Right, Victorina? Where are you? Where are you at, Victorina? Kathleen from Michigan just made it. Solid Blue Sister in Southern Cali. Wilbur McCarthy. Roo, roo. That's our dog lover buddy in Martinez, Georgia. Cindy from Alaska. Your boy Ken is here, and he's late, but he's here. Damn it. That is my scrolling music. Okay, there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for sticking with me through that roll call. Let's go ahead and jump on into our first and only feature of the day. I'm trying something. Let's see how it goes. Pictured on the screen here is a young, beardless, teenage BDD. He was not known as BDD yet. He was just Majid. That's Majid, teenager. He's still got that spark in his eye. Majid grew up somewhat aware of the racial differences in America. You know, but he was not yet cynical about it. The glasses, which at that time, I wasn't wearing glasses yet. My eyesight was still perfect, 2020. But as they say, the glasses were still somewhat rose-colored. And as such, you know, I had the benefit of going to a good private school. And the private school I went to was majority white, mostly white people. There were a few black kids, and they were definitely outperforming me in just about every category. I was a bit of a slacker, you know. But anyway, I was raised, you know, the way Scribble My Dibbles and I were raised, you know, we were all about people are people, so why should it be? You and I should get along so awfully. Anyway, I'm going to fast forward. The reason I'm showing you this teenage picture of myself is because this was just before I learned that the cops aren't always our friends. You know, when I say our, I mean black people. Case in point, this is a picture of Eleanor Bumpers. Eleanor Bumpers was a 66-year-old woman who was living in public housing. She had arthritis and she had other medical ailments. And she was informed that they were going to be evicting her from her housing. Well, you know, she's 66. She'd been around the block a few times and she ain't no pushover. So she told the building management. Anissa wants to know what's the meaning to the name Majid. Majid means glorious. Yes, either glorious or exalted. One of those two in Arabic. Anyway, so she's no pushover, and she's like, you know, the next person you send to my apartment is going to get a face full of boiling lye. And I don't think she was bluffing. Anyway, they sent the cops there instead. And the cops, they drilled their way into her apartment. And when they busted in, she was there, butt naked. She was naked and she had a knife in her hand. Okay, so the cops, naturally, they considered the knife in her hand a threat, despite the fact that she was 66 and she was naked. and she had arthritis. Anyway, they charged her, and they were unable to dislodge the knife from her hand. So they did what any, concerned and responsible police officer would do. One of the cops shot her with a 12 gauge shotgun, once in the hand and another time in the chest. And the shot in the chest was what killed her. Yep, Eleanor Bumpers. And that was my introduction to, death by cop. And yeah, there was a big outrage about it, but nothing was done back in those days. And in these days, cops were just exonerated for stuff like that, and they labeled it reasonable force. That was 1984. So fast forward from 1984 to 1999. Now, 1999, by this time, I've already got 3 boys. They're young. They were very young at the time. And a young man by the name of Amadou Diallo was on his way home to his apartment. Actually, he did arrive home at his apartment in the Bronx, and he was stopped by police, and they asked him for identification. And he reached into his pocket, and he pulls out a wallet. At this point, the cops who asked him for information, for identification, they unleashed a barrage of, Tracy, you got it right. Tracy M. said 41 bullets. That is correct. They unleashed 41 bullets at Amadou Diallo. Even Bruce Springsteen wrote a song about that. And out of those 41 bullets, only 19 landed, but the 19 was more than enough to end Amadou Diallo's life. And several of those 19 bullets found their way into the bottoms of Amadou Diallo's feet because he was already on the ground before they stopped shooting. They shot just an unholy hail of bullets until he was lying down and still didn't stop shooting. So, a jury of 4 black people and 8 white people acquitted these cops of all charges. A year later, acquitted. The family, Amadou Diallo's family, eventually received a $3 million settlement for his death. I don't think you can put a price tag on anyone's death. Everyone's life is priceless. But $3 million seems very low considering how horribly he died. Fast forward into the age of social media now. It's 1999, there wasn't really any social media, but in 2014, we saw Eric Garner selling loose cigarettes. I've bought loose cigarettes many times. You can buy loose cigarettes at a bodega anywhere in Brooklyn, most places in Manhattan that are, considered urban areas. You can buy them. Just go to a bodega, get 2 loosies or whatever. They charge you like 25, 50 cents each. Eric Garner was selling loose cigarettes, and the cops approached him. And you can see in the picture here on the right, this is where they're grabbing him up in a chokehold. And in the picture on the left, they've already got him down on the ground, and that is the beginning of the end of his life. Tracy M., you're right, Lucy's, that's what we call them. And that was it. He said 11 times, he said, "I can't breathe." And that's when "I can't breathe" became a thing. And that wouldn't be the last time we heard "I can't breathe." And you would think after this was 2014, this was 7 years ago, you would think from this, the cops would learn, there's at least 7 years worth of rookie training that, they should have updated their policies from this. This was national news. They didn't. Here we have Michael Brown on August 9th of 2014 in Ferguson, Missouri. He was accused of stealing a box of cigars. And later he was seen walking down the middle of the street. The cops got into it with him and they shot him down. And this episode was where we heard the saying, "Hands up, don't shoot." Later on, we would learn that those words, in fact, could not be confirmed that he said it, but it didn't matter because the movement took off after that. This was around the time, I believe, that the Black Lives Matter movement began. It might have been 2013 or 2014, but it was right around there. Fast forward again, only a few months later, that was August, this was November, 12-year-old Tamir Rice in Cleveland, Ohio. Tamir was playing in a playground with a toy gun. He's 12. The cops showed up at the playground. 30 seconds later, Tamir Rice was dead. That little baby face just gets me, you know? Could have been one of my boys. The next year, April 4th, 2015, Walter Scott. No. RJ is not a troll. RJ is a regular viewer to the show. RJ is peeps. RJ is peeps here. Walter Scott in North Charleston, North Kakalaki, was shot in the back 5 times running away from a police officer. That's not protocol. That's not. Why are you shooting a guy who's running away? He is not a threat to you. He was not armed. He's just running away. Take your fat ass and chase after him. I mean, again, unarmed black man just shot down. July 13th, 2015. Sandra Bland was driving in her car in Waller County, Texas, and she neglected to use her turn signal to change lanes. Basically, it was an empty road. It was an empty road. There were no other cars in this road. And she didn't use her turn signal. You know, I wish I had $1 for every time some buckethead buzzard cut in front of me without using their turn signal. I'd be a millionaire. So cops pulled her over. She happened to be smoking a cigarette at the time. The cop wants her to put her cigarette out. She didn't want to put her cigarette out. Why should I put my cigarette out? What does that have to do with you pulling me over for not using my turn signal? So this evolved or devolved into a confrontation. It wasn't violent, you know. She's just, you know, I'm sitting in my car smoking a cigarette. What's your problem? Give me my ticket and be on your way. But no, instead, she was arrested. She was arrested, and this is a mystery to this day. She was brought in to the police department for failure to use a turn signal. Imagine that. You're just going about your business and a cop pulls you over for no good reason and arrests you. Several days later, Sandra Bland was found hanging in her cell. She's in police custody. Supposedly, she Epsteined herself. I don't buy it. And neither does her family either. And this is just one of many, many, many instances where people are dying in police custody. Black people are dying in police custody. It's ridiculous. I tweeted a little while ago, like, nobody should be fearful of surviving a routine traffic stop by police. Nobody should fear that. But it's a real fear. It is a real fear. Alton Sterling. His offense was being involved in a disturbance outside of a shop in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And he was killed by cops also. They said that he attempted to reach for his gun. The video of the event is sketchy at best. This incident also set off a large round of protests. That's a video of the incident. This was moments before he was on the ground dead. Philando Castile was driving in his vehicle with his girlfriend and a young child, pulled over by police. He explained to the cops, this was July 6th, 2016. This was the day after Alton Sterling died at police hands. Pulled over. He informed the police that he has a registered weapon. The cop asked him to produce his identification. Philando Castile was reaching for his identification. And that's when the cop shot him. In front of his girlfriend, in front of that child. That's a tough one. That's tough. These are all tough. These are all tough. But, you know, you hear the argument all the time. If he had just complied. Well, you know what? He was complying. He was complying. And you still shot him dead. March 18th, 2018. Stefan Clark was in his grandmother's backyard. Police were responding to some call about a guy looking suspicious in the backyard. Stefan Clark was armed only with his cell phone. Cops mistook his cell phone for a gun, and they shot him dead. 7 times. 7 times in this backyard. By now, those of you who've been watching my show for a while, I'm sure will remember the face of Breonna Taylor. Breonna Taylor was at home in her own apartment, and cops showed up looking for her boyfriend. They did not identify themselves as police. Her boyfriend heard somebody trying to break in and fired on them. This is in Louisville, Kentucky, where I guess it's okay to stand your ground or shoot if somebody's breaking in. Well, cops returned fire. Breonna Taylor was killed. None of those cops were held accountable. The city of Louisville did, however, settle a lawsuit for $12 million, which is big. But you know, you've lost your child, you've lost your sister, you've lost your best friend. I don't think 12 million makes up for that. Cindy C is correcting me. She said it was her ex-boyfriend. Kind of makes it even worse. May 10th, 2019, 2 years ago, Ronald Green was involved in a high-speed chase with police. And when they caught up to him, I guess they were pissed off that he made them chase him. And they decided to take it out on him in a horrible, brutal way. Brutal. They beat him. They tased him. They dragged him until he was dead. This is a picture from the body cam that one of those cops was wearing. I just learned today that two of these officers are supposed to be fired. They haven't been fired yet. 2 years later. 2 years later, they covered this shit up and they have not yet been fired. 2 years later. I don't even understand how you can watch that video and determine that these fuckers deserve to wear a badge still. How? It was disgusting. This was a modern day lynching. They're still wearing a badge to this day. This picture here is moments before he's about to be dragged. And that brings us to George Floyd. A year ago today, George Floyd was still alive. Actually, right now, he had not yet gone into Cup Foods, to allegedly attempt to pass on a fake counterfeit $20 bill. Passing along a $20 bill that is counterfeit, it's against the law, but it's not a death sentence. We have a process in place for determining what the punishment for passing along a fake $20 bill should be. And it certainly should not be death. The police are not meant to be judge, jury, and executioner. That's a steep fee, steep fine penalty. And we all know what happened. For 9 minutes, Derek Chauvin had his knee on George Floyd's knee and killed him. Now, this was one of those rare instances where I swear to God, the prosecution was probably the best prosecuting team I have ever seen in real life or on TV or in the movies. They had their shit perfect. And they got a conviction. It seems like only in the most pristine, perfect circumstances can we get a conviction for a cop who was obviously guilty. So what they had video. They had testimony from other cops. They had testimony from paramedics. They had testimony from experts. All of that. And they had top-notch prosecutors working on this. And they had the entire planet watching this. So is that what it takes to prosecute a cop who had 19 other complaints against him? He shouldn't have even been working that day. He should have been packing groceries somewhere in a supermarket. Washing cars. He didn't deserve to be wearing that badge, but yet he had the badge and he used his authority as a police officer to snuff the life from George Floyd. And if it wasn't for that young lady and all the people who were standing there filming it, Derek Chauvin would be alive today to do this to somebody else, again, outside of the video camera. So the outrage from the George Floyd video sparked a humongous movement, Black Lives Matter movement. And there were protests across the country, everywhere, in all 50 states. And the vast majority of these protests were peaceful. We did, of course, have some eruptions And it remains to be seen who was responsible for those violent outbursts. We did see some guy, I think they called him Umbrella Man, that was a cop that was breaking windows somewhere. I believe it was in Minnesota or Wisconsin, one of those two places. So there was an arbitrary deadline to try to get the George Floyd Justice in Policing Act approved and passed by today. That deadline has come and gone, and it has not been passed yet. This act would ban chokeholds. It would end racial and religious profiling. It would eliminate qualified immunity for law enforcement, and it would mandate data collection on police encounters. That's a start. That's a good start, I think. But there are arguments now raging within. Let me continue. I'm sorry. Before I get into the arguments here, here's another one here. This was Dante Wright. Dante Wright was, once again, he was pulled over for a driving violation. Apparently, he had something hanging from his rearview mirror. Shit, I have one of those air freshener trees on the rear view, unless I think wifey was talking about taking that down because it didn't have any more smell good in it. But anyway, he was pulled over for that, and then they found out that he had warrants, and then they attempted to arrest him. Now, a few days ago, on the show, I said, look, people, if you haven't had to talk, somebody needs to have to talk with you. When they're attempting to arrest you, don't resist, blah, blah, blah. But for whatever reason, Dante Wright was afraid, and he got back into his vehicle, and the cop, a female police officer, pulls out her gun and shoots him. Later on, she would say, I didn't know it was my gun. I thought it was a taser. Well, she's been in the force for over 18 years. You can't tell the difference between a taser and a gun? Everybody else can. It's plain as day. Their tasers are yellow. They look different. They feel different. They fire different. She's a veteran on the force trying to play it off like she didn't know. Look that's a gun. That is a gun, not a taser. And she ended his life because he was scared. He was scared. She was scared. And now he's dead. And she is in jail. Hopefully they will do the right thing. They have to prosecute her too. I believe, what's his name? Keith Ellison is on that one, unless I'm mistaken. So what do we do? What do we do with this great big blue force of men with badges and guns who have the legal right to snuff out our lives because they say they are scared? Believe it or not, that is a legitimate, that is considered a legitimate excuse for killing somebody in the process of an arrest. If they feel they're in danger, their life is threatened, and they can say you resisted. You'll often hear, when you see one of these body cam videos, you'll hear them say stop resisting, and you look at the person, they're not resisting. You got your whole weight on their body, their hands are cuffed behind them, and you're telling them stop resisting. Why do they say stop resisting? So that it can be in the legal record after the fact. In case you happen to kill this person, I told them numerous times, stop resisting. It's bullshit. So that brings me to the question of, what do we do? On the far left, they're saying defund the police. And in the middle left, moderates are saying, wait, hold on a second. Let's reform the police. And why am I bringing this up? Because as I was preparing this story I was like, God damn, going all the way back to Eleanor Bumpers back in 1984, this is still a problem. This is still a problem. And these police departments, they continue to churn out cops who are taught the same thing. It's a whole environment. It's a whole culture, the cop culture. You know, the blue line. You don't cross that blue line. You don't speak out against other cops, or they look at you as a snitch. That blue wall of silence prohibits the good cops for speaking out against the bad cops. They say, oh, it's just a few rotten apples. Well, guess what? If you have 100 cops and 5 of them are bad, but the 95 good cops don't say anything about those 5 bad cops, and guess what? You now have 100 bad cops. And this is a system. This is a system throughout the entire country. You get one of these bad cops, he gets fired, they send him over to another police department where he can work. He can still work. That qualified immunity bullshit. So what the defund the police stance is, you take all the money that you are giving these police departments, our tax dollars, you're giving these murderous police departments money for, they use it for tanks, they use it for high-tech equipment like fucking robot dogs, and a whole lot of other just offensive weaponry that they don't need. You are creating a police force that then gets sent out to handle all different kinds of things, traffic stops and domestic disputes and disturbed people. And you don't need a hammer for all those different things. You don't need a hammer to deal with all those things, because when you send out a hammer, the hammer is always looking for a nail. And the hammer sees every problem as a nail. And every problem is not a nail. Every problem does not require the same use of force, the same mentality. You know what? Sometimes you need a social worker. Sometimes you need a doctor. Sometimes you need you need different people for these different situations. It doesn't always require a gun or brute force. So the defund the police position, they want to take that money, all of that big wad of money, and redistribute it to other possible centers within the police department and create something else. Oh, and some people want to abolish the police. So here's the problem with defund and abolish the police. Just earlier today, our favorite Texas governor, Greg Abbott, also, I believe, signed a law saying that you cannot defund the police. Defund the police is a toxic phrase. You know, it might be right. Maybe we do need to defund them. But the problem with the defund the police thing is that there's no 30-second elevator pitch that can easily explain the subtleties, the nuances to what defund the police actually means. If you can't explain something to our short attention span nation in less than 30 seconds, and that ain't it. You ain't got it. That's not it. Reform the police. What happens if you take the argument from defund the police and just rebrand it as reform? Do the same things, the same goals that you want to achieve, redistribute the funds for this, that, and the other, but just call it something else. Don't call it something that makes every right winger get their back up, and suddenly they're like, you, you want to get rid of all the police? Is that what you want to do? You just want to have mayhem? What happens if somebody's trying to rape you, someone's trying to shoot you? Oh, you're just going to have mayhem and chaos. Like the Republicans, they produced an anti-Biden ad that shows somebody calling 911. They said, please hold. There's nobody available to help you. If you're being raped or murdered or whatever, just stay on hold. And people believe that because it's a clever little 30-second, however disingenuous it is, it's a clever 30-second clip that feeds into people's fears. Nobody wants to be in danger and have nobody to call. It's stupid. Can we take the idea that is behind the defund the police and just call it reform the police? Can we do that? Can we agree on that? Or do you have to intentionally stick your middle finger into every living American's face and say, this is what we want, take it or leave it? I'm talking about our far left. It's all or nothing with them. But when you're living in a country and you have to live side by side with 300 million other knuckleheads, you got to make concessions. You have to. You have to compromise. If you want to achieve things in a country where everybody believes in different shit and has different priorities, you have to compromise. It's that simple. Or you will get nothing. You either get something or nothing. It's that. Nobody gets everything they want. Nobody. It is what it is. So, whew. Jennifer Rayner's asking, do you remember the ads in YT before election? Many people in Wisconsin believed that shit. I don't remember those ads at all. Corey Lord says, we should agree on reforming the police, and the Republicans are ditching us for it. Let's see. Stacy Mendenhall says, some of the money should be redirected to emergency responders who are trained mental health workers, social workers. Thank you for saying that. Yeah, that is kind of what I was trying to say. I don't think I said it as eloquently as you just wrote it. Thank you for that. Thank you. Sheila Bird says, Texas is about to have mayhem and chaos. No license, no training to carry a gun. God help our Texan friends and family. Oh, my Lord. That is a recipe for disaster. Who is advising that guy? Lee Saunders says, make the cops liable. We used to have Western Union training every 6 months when I worked in Bureau de Change. That sounds fancy. We signed liability every 6 months. Indeed. And M. Getz says, this is where Democrats are fucking themselves, saying stupid shit like defund. WTF, Dems. WTF indeed, my friend. WTF indeed. Whew. Okay, so that's my one segment of the day. I thank you guys for hanging in there with me. We're going to jump right into our next segment, and that is... Wait.
Raggedy Bush.
I love that voice changing thing. You Raggedy Bush. And Debbie is reminding us all to please hit that thumb up button. If you are out there and you are lurking and you don't hit that thumbs up button, how will I know that you didn't do it? I will know. I will haunt you in your dreams. I'll show up like my video. All right. Today's You Raggedy Bush is this Raggedy Bush right here. This is the GOP House Minority Leader Qevin McCarthy. He's been in this spot before. He's probably going to be in this spot quite a few more times before the year is up. This dude is in danger. Just today, he issued a letter. First, he issued a tweet denouncing what Marjorie Taylor Greene said about comparing the Holocaust to mask mandates. 5 days later, it took him 5 days to put this shit together. I mean, how difficult could it possibly be to kick little Miss MTG to the curb? Miss Jewish space laser, crazy QAnon conspiracy theorist. Seriously, dude, you are the leader of the Republican House minority. You're the leader. That's a title. That means you have a responsibility to rein your people in. You can't even do that. I mean, seriously, she's nuts. The problem is, her nuts, her crazy is raising a ton of money. A ton of money. So he's scared. And some people, when they're scared, they stand up and fight. Others, they hide. And Qevin McCarthy hid, even as he was denouncing her words. He called them wrong and, wrong and abhorrent? Something like that. So what did he do? In his letter, he hid behind attacks on Democrats. Somehow, Marjorie Taylor Greene's bullshit, he equated that with the Democratic Party and saying that anti-Semitism is running rampant in the Democratic Party, which is atrocious, and it's wrong. It's a lie. It's a straight up lie. So he got the best of no worlds with that letter, and he got swift condemnation from the left and swift condemnation from the right from fans of Marjorie Taylor Greene. They were dumping all over him. So Qevin McCarthy is a coward. He is not equipped to run his caucus, and hopefully he'll be booted. But every time we get rid of one bad person, just somebody worse pops up in their place. So I don't know. He's going to be back in this "you raggedy bish" at least a few more times. But that's all I got to say about him for today. Right? All right. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the littlest president. The Littlest President is available on BrooklynDadDefiant.com. And no, I have not switched this dilapidated book out yet, but it's got beautiful signature. It's so swooshy, and it says "We Want." Speed reading, but Brooklyn Dad, you were on time, and why are you speed reading? 'Cause I said so. The Littlest President is starring President Barack Obama, Hillary Rodham Clinton, Speaker Nancy Pelosi, Joseph R. Biden. The R stands for ready to kick that ass. Bladder Bear pooping, holding the puppet strings on Spanky McDumbass. Complicit Barbie, Rudy Fuliani, Gummy McJuicebox, Kellyanne Conjob, Stephen the Snake Miller, and Mitch McTurtle McConnell. Ba-dum-bum. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for our favorite page, because this is Spanky McDumbass. Spanky McDumbass is sad. He used to be rich. He used to be a businessman. He used to be a TV star. He used to have a Twitter account. He used to be the littlest president. But now Spanky McDumbass is in jail. How did he get here? Let's go back. Ah, yeah. Let's see. Na 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 na. Give me a second here, guys. Give me a second. Actually, Actually, I know exactly where I'm going. This one. I don't even need the book. It fell out yesterday. Investigators from the SDNY wasted no time. They had been waiting for Spanky to become a private citizen so they could bring the full force of the Department of Justice against him. Spanky was convicted for money laundering, tax evasion, and for overall shitbaggery. He would spend the rest of his life in prison. Spanky was the littlest convict. And there it is, ladies and gentlemen. Nostradamus does it again. Well, maybe it's a little bit early, but that shit is going to happen. And look at his miserable ass. His little blowout hairdo is blown the hell out. There's Nancy Pelosi doing the clap thing. There's Malaria Trump doing the old looking you in the eye like you want to eye bang. And there's a judge saying, "You're fired! Fired!" Yeah. Tiny handcuffs, the whole 9 yards. Indeed. I can't wait for that to happen. Oh boy, I want so badly to see him led down the aisle of the court wearing orange jumpsuit. I may just wet myself. Let's see. Stacy Mendenhall. Well, we might as well start with the questions. Stacy Mendenhall wants to know, how are you all so confident? I feel not much hope it will ever come to pass. And you know what, Stacy? You are 100% justified in feeling like that. Absolutely. You know, there's quite a few people who feel exactly the way you do, and they agree. I talked about it earlier in the show. I said some people are just a little gun shy now, you know, after so many Mueller time and impeachment 1 and impeachment 2, and nothing ever happened. It seemed like he's Teflon Don, but his presidency is over, and he does not have the protections from state prosecution. Yeah, he might have some moves. He might. But you know what? I have, I and you all have 2 ways of dealing with this. You can either be one, cautiously, well, there's several different ways. You can be cautiously optimistic. You can be over the moon hopeful, or you can be pessimistic and say, never going to happen. Nothing's going to happen. So, you know, you can choose how you process this. I choose to be overjoyed, and you know, I'm putting that energy out there. I'm putting it out there. We'll see what happens. Let's see. Da 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 da. Monique Lee says, "Let's take bets on which of the dumb kids will flip on Daddy Dearest. My money is on the dumbest one, Eric." Yeah. I'll go with that. He's the least favorite. So, let's see. Deb says, "Frog March him." Valerie G says, "I'm surprised Melania hasn't filed for divorce yet." Knock on wood. Come on, let that happen too. Asmila J says, "You have to switch out the book, LOL." Yeah, I will do it. Eventually, I will do it. Cindy wants to know, are you surprised Melania? Oh, yeah, I'm not surprised by it. For whatever reason, she's hanging in there. I think maybe there's some kind of clause in her marriage agreement, you know, that she will hang in there no matter what. Who knows? You know, or she gets the money cut off. Solid Blue Sister says, "BDD, I'm going to take a deep dive and ask this question. If America was void of white people, what type of country do you think it would be?" And she says, in parentheses, "I'm thinking of Native Americans." That's tough because, I mean, I think eventually people would like this is you know America is a place that people were already trying to get to before it was known as America. So eventually people would have come over here. And I don't know enough about the Native American culture to know if there was discrimination or bigotry or prejudice within the different tribes. I think there were because we hear stories about different tribes fighting with each other all the time. I just don't know. Um, that is an intriguing question. Um, I can only say I don't know. I gave it my best shot. I thought about it for a second. I was like, that's hard. But thank you. That is. I will be thinking about that long after the show is over tonight. All right, one more question, and then I gotta bounce. Let's see. Let's see. Do we have another question? Lucy wants to know: do you think Rump keeps in touch with Putin? I think he'd like to. I think if he has Putin's number, he calls it, and Putin answers. He says, no fun. Who this? No, I don't know Spanky McDonald's. No. All right, guys. Thank you so much for hanging in there with me on a kind of heavy episode. Still no less great episode, I think, of Storytime with BDD. I'm your host, BDD, aka Brooklyn Dad. Please remember to hit the like button on your way out the Fahisi place. If you gotta go out, please make sure you wear your mask, wear your gloves, keep your social distance 6 feet or better. And to have a lovely, relaxing evening. I'll see you guys here tomorrow. Same time, hopefully. Same place. I love you all. Peace. Hey! Boom. Hey! Natalie B wants to know, if we go to space, what will happen regarding racism? Racism is in the mind. You have to change the way people think in order to eradicate racism. That is a multi-generational goal. The Trump Reaper wants to know, the title of this song, I believe, is Feeling Alright. Feeling Alright. Cindy C wants to know, is it blurry for anyone else or just me? Maybe you want to clean your glasses. Clean your lenses. Hey! Oh, damn. RJ just pointed out blue light off for a whole show. I knew I forgot something. Oh, shit. Gavin Rutherford with the answer to the racism in space question. Gavin said spacism. That, my friend, that is clever. Very clever. Oh, shit. M. Getz saying Deutsche Bank has a shitload on Trump. Oh, man. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Last but not least, Lisa Hathaway says, raise your kids to treat people how they want to be treated. Well said. And with that said, ladies and gentlemen, you know what time it is. You need to leave.